Today on Talk About That, John overanalyzes a text conversation and tries to change his love language. Meanwhile, I pay people to get out of telling jokes at their event and ponder how biblical characters got their nicknames. Plus a conversation about vulnerability, friendship, and hiring movers. Today's episode is not sponsored by celery. When you want a huge glob of peanut butter but don't want to use a spoon, it's go time.
Top of the morning to you is Talk About That. I don't know what that was. That British?
It's almost Australian.
It went,
but you were saying
went Australian at the end.
Isn't top of the morning to you Irish? Jeez.
It should be noted. I don't know. That was like a total conglomeration of all like British dialects into one.
And then your fade out was like so quick too. It was like we fell off a cliff with the music.
Well, you understand the fade out that you're hearing is not the same fade out.
Oh, is it not?
Here. No.
Okay, that's because what a nightmare.
No.
I'm glad we didn't reference it. High quality programming, and we always have for you here.
Multicultural, some might say.
I think it's great. I think listen. I don't see culture.
Wait, I don't listen. We're here to do things that other people don't do or even try or attempt.
Or want to.
And one of those is horrible. Listen, speaking of horrible British accents, and she's going to love this, but if you can ever get my wife to do a British accent, it is worse than mine.
Comically bad.
It is amazing. We have so much fun. But
It's offensive to everybody.
She'll only do it like when we're watching a British show, like in between we get up to, get something to drink or eat or whatever, and it's just, it brings me joy.
Yeah.
On another level.
Does she hello?
No, I don't think she could do that.
She can't even hello?
It's, I'd like to hear her try. When we went, even like, and to hear her do her Spanish accent, because we went to our honeymoon in Mexico, I speak Spanish a little bit. So I would order.
Pequeño? Poquito? Is it pequeño?
Poquito.
Poquito's small.
Wow.
What's the little? Little is pequeño. I don't know.
I've gone totally. Sorry, guys. I don't remember that exact thing. It's been a while. But anyway, when we'd order food, like they would ask her if she wanted something, and she would say no. Like that was her thing. Like
yeah. Like it's so hard not to assimilate into whatever they're doing.
But that was the only word she assimilated.
Oh my gosh.
And it happens to also be the English word for no. So.
But you have to put that extra oomph on it.
Hey, I like that in the shot today you're sporting. Now that's technically my lamp that I
gave you,
right?
But I took it back
now,
because it's the kind of friend I am.
And it's got the Vols on it, and I'm a little nervous.
I'm not.
Really?
No.
See, usually you're like me.
No, because here's why. We are ranked number 1
in the college playoff.
They
rankings.
moved us up in college playoff rankings. Yet we're still 8-point underdogs to Georgia, who is ranked number 3.
And in the AP poll, we're switched. We're number 3.
Do you know when else that happened? A year called 1998.
That's right.
Because we were number 1 going into the final week.
8-0.
And only the 1 and 2 got to make it to the playoff. It was the first BCS title game. The second and third team in the rankings both lost in their championship games. UCLA lost, and I think Texas A&M lost in the Big 12, which moved Florida State, an ACC champion, up to 4, from 4 to 2. And then they were favored in the national championship game over us anyway, even though
we were undefeated.
And they were just like, yeah, but it's Florida State, it's Bobby Bowden. And I'm telling you, that same level of disrespect, I think it suits us. I do not want to be favored.
Yeah, but don't you think that this has given Georgia fodder? Like, you're being disrespected now because they're number 1 and you should be number 1. That's what I think. I think they're the ones.
It's all going to be solved on the field, though.
I don't think Coach Heupel, I don't think he plays the, emotional, we're being disrespected game from what I've read.
I think none of that really matters. I mean, coaching is one thing, but as far as, bulletin board material, the whole world's a bulletin board now with social media. So it's hard to not.
I heard Jalen Hyatt has turned off his notifications. Like, he doesn't want to know about stuff. And their whole culture there is very much like, hey, we're only going to be as good. And this sounds like coach speak, but I've heard enough players, they really believe it. Like, we're going to be confident as long as we prepared in a way that just make us confident. Like, it's our preparation that matters. That's the only thing we can control. And if we do that, we expect to win because we know what we have. So
I feel like I wish that we could integrate that attitude into the podcast.
Yeah, because I feel like you get on the podcast and immediately start just bashing it. Like, we should do better. And you start telling all the people reasons not to listen. And Jonnie, it's working. They're not listening.
I just meant I think we should prepare better.
I think you should have some confidence a little bit.
Oh, is that what
we're doing?
Okay.
And to help you with that,
I've deleted your notifications like Jalen Hyatt. Does that help?
Just so you know, to help with your confidence in the podcast and with the Vols, I actually bought you a gift for today.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's right here.
Gift time?
And it's something, it's funny because you said something before the podcast, you didn't even realize it.
Right.
That is sort of a common expression for you.
Okay.
Jonnie will say, it's actually a throwback to all of our Pentecostal days.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll be like, you can't take my joy, devil. Like you say that, So we were working on stuff.
It's a Kirk Franklin.
Yeah, it's a Kirk Franklin thing. And so I got you this. I saw it and thought of you. I'm throwing it so everyone knows in the room. So Jonnie is now unpackaging the gift.
Hold on.
When I saw it, Jonnie,
Is this a Not Today Saban t-shirt? Oh my gosh, guys.
Not today, Saban.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it's got the goalpost coming down and the score of the game. 52-49.
I love it.
So.
Oh my gosh.
Made me think of you, Jonnie.
I'll wear it with pride.
Yeah. And it's got the little devil horns on Saban's name.
I don't.
Maybe I went too far.
Did you make the shirt?
Jonnie, I made this shirt. And I'm selling them like hotcakes. Also, I sell hotcakes. Yeah, I want to know, hotcakes must have really been a hot-selling commodity.
Maybe culture has really shifted.
Yeah, because now in keto land, you don't want something to sell like hotcakes.
Now it'd be like eggs.
You think people will eat? Right, yeah.
These things are selling like eggs.
For me, it'd be like selling like hot wings. If you said that.
Oh, because you keep hot in it still.
Yeah.
I don't know. People, I don't know. I'm on the plane. This weekend I had a bunch of flights, so.
This is not your plane. This is a commercial flight.
Right. Okay. I don't have a plane.
Oh, I got you.
And I just noticed that the things we say to each other on a plane and things the pilot will say to us are very like, you could have worded that differently and made us all feel a little bit better. One is when the pilot says, we'll be on the ground soon. I need you to be more specific.
That's true.
Like, that's really true no matter what. We're going to be on the ground soon.
One way or another.
Yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Add the word safely.
Yeah. Or like on the wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our wheels are going to touch down soon.
Yeah. Don't just get on the mic and be like, we'll wake up with the Lord. That's not right. And then I noticed people talking to each other on the plane, and like the guy wasn't flirting with a girl, but he was kind of like making small talk. Uh-huh. And he said, where's home?
Oh yeah, that could be
right. And so I was like, you could have just said like, where are you from?
Right. What city do you live in?
Yeah.
Where's home's like?
Where's home is one thing, but like, what's your address? Like,
right. It's
specifically right. Where's home?
Yeah. Could you
show me on this map?
Right. Could you mark it? Drop a pin.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
I don't know.
I have found that my comedian friends, you just did something most of them won't do. True comedians won't make a lot of airplane jokes because it has been so
it's beat
observational airplane humor.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you become a road comic is if you're not careful and you're not like living your life and doing real life things. Mm-hmm. And you end up with a lot of, because your only experience is hotel rooms. So you got a lot of jokes about like the tiny soaps. Right. And then rental cars and airplanes and airports. So you end up with like 20 minutes of that because it's your world.
Which most people who are listening, that's not their world.
I think it's one of the reasons I bought a scooter because I was like, I need to like get in some hijinks with this dumb scooter so that I'll have material. And really the only joke I wrote about the scooter was that I would put it on the screen behind me. I'd be like, yeah, you guys motorcycle? You guys ride? And they'd be like, yeah. And then I go, I got one. And I put a picture up of me on my scooter and they would all laugh. And I go, I don't care because now that's a write-off because it's in the show.
Nice.
That was the way that I never really.
Expensive joke.
I think I had a chip on my shoulder about having the scooter. So I could never get out of my. I could never view it. I could never view it objectively enough to write jokes because I was always like, it's just as good as them. Right.
Right.
I'm just as good as any of you. And I'm clearly not.
When the way that you're writing it looks like a schoolboy with his books in his lap.
Yeah.
The way
when you get into it like you're getting into a desk.
Right.
Yeah. It's a step through design.
You were driving a two-wheeled desk and calling it a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But you were like, but the engine's got just as much power.
And it did.
But who cares?
Right.
You still listen.
From the front, it looked like a motorcycle, and then people would see me in it as I passed, and they were like, "Oh, yeah."
I don't cycle shame people.
I appreciate that.
So I mean, it's fine, but
that means a lot.
You did look a little ridiculous.
Whoa.
I actually loved the scooter. I actually wouldn't mind.
I don't. You know what's funny? I don't miss it at all. I thought I would, but I just got it out of my system. Like I feel like I quit while I was ahead at Vegas or something. You know, like you're like, all right,
yeah,
we didn't get rear-ended and get launched into the stratosphere.
Yeah,
I almost crashed it a couple of times, where you just have these near misses. You'd have a little waggle, and somebody would pass you in your blind spot or whatever, and it was enough where I was like, this would be. And we'd wear shorts and stuff on it like idiots. Like we'd be out on a hot summer day, and I'd just be like,
if you think jeans are going to stop the road rash, buddy.
Well, no, but it's one of those things where, if you lay that down, you hope you die. You don't want to live through what injuries you're going to have on a.
Yeah.
And plus, you can't tell people you crashed your scooter. That's not even.
So my daughter and I are watching the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on HBO Max.
That's a heck of a segue.
Well, there is. So last night's episode, Uncle Phil buys a motorcycle. Like all of his friends come over, they're all in like black leather, jackets and stuff. I don't think they're wearing chaps.
No.
That would have gone too far. And so Vio's making fun of him like, this is your midlife crisis.
Right.
We're just men. He's like, you're in
Did Will Smith say something like, how many cows had to die to make that jacket?
Something
do that?
like that. Gosh, the number of
poor
jokes
Uncle Phil.
about Uncle Phil's weight were unbelievable. And then it was like the whole show was built around jokes about his weight and jokes about Carlton's height, who really isn't that short.
Right.
Like when he stands next to him, it's like it was almost so predictable. But you laugh every time, Johnny. What are you going to do?
It's a good show.
And so she begs him, like, they just had the baby.
Yeah.
So hey, you're now a father again to a infant. Like we can't, So he comes in the next day and he's like, look, I just want you to know the bike is gone because there's nothing in my life. You're right. There's nothing in my life that's worth. And he goes in this whole thing. And like the crowd, like he kisses and embraces her and the whole crowd even applauds, And then Jeffrey, the butler, walks up and is like, I'm not going to do the British accent here. He's like, your insurance company called and everything from the crash is going to be covered. All the damage to the ice cream cart is going to be covered,
right.
Except the sleeve of whatever that he ate from the ice cream cart after the crash. And she looks at him, He's like, well, what would you have said if I told you the truth? So he crashed the bike and then acted like he got rid of it, So,
I didn't have that, but there was some near misses. Because the thing is, like, you can goose it. Like, I'd be trying to get off of it, and one time I was getting off of it and like trying to just creep it up and like park it, and you just twist and it just took off a little bit, and I had to like, whoa, hey, easy, big fella. It was kind of.
It seemed like a TikTok about to happen at your expense, but as long as you own the video, bro, you just let the.
Thank God I wasn't on TikTok then.
Pour in.
I had a TikTok video go get like 40,000 views today. Wow. So, bro,
you ever wonder if like
I don't know what's gonna. I'm just saying like this may be my last podcast. I may not need. I may not.
He's
need
now
a
TikTok star. He's TikTok famous.
I don't want to. I'm just putting it out there.
I wonder if the clock is ticking on TikTok for the amount of time it's going to be the most relevant social media platform. And if that's the case, someone's going to write an article like TikTok, your time's almost out. Like, what I'm saying? Like it's coming. Johnny, I'm writing that article right now.
Go ahead and just in case.
I actually read this morning that they were kind of talking about Elon Musk. And as a guy who writes, is a great blog from a friend of mine that I follow, and he's kind of specializes in social media and building platforms and stuff. And he said that it's coming to the place where social media needs us more than we need it.
Yeah,
it's becoming evident a little bit.
Well, that was the argument for years ago already. That like, if you notice, because that people go, how do they even make money on Facebook? Like, how does it make money? And it's like, oh, we're the product.
Right.
Like, if there's no product they're selling, you're probably the product. And then we found out all this stuff about the data breaches and the data mining. But we're all too addicted to it now to get off of it. So we're just like, and some people have gotten off Facebook, but I just mean like a lot of us are still like, yeah, but that's how I keep in touch with Aunt Marjorie.
And I got to tell you guys, if you, I don't.
By the way, hey, Aunt Marjorie.
Hey, Aunt Marjorie. I don't go to Twitter hardly at all unless you send me a link. Mm-hmm. You'll send me, hey, read this. I'll go look. And then I'll find myself starting to doom scroll.
Yeah.
And then I'll just like, nope, I don't do this. Like Twitter.
So I gave you a little hit. Is what you're saying to me?
Right.
I started the...
look up and I'm in a ditch somewhere on a scooter.
I apologize.
But I also don't go to Facebook. Hardly ever. Like hardly ever. I'll check notifications. And I'm sorry about that. I am that guy. I'm not trying...
You think that makes you better than us?
No, I think that... I mean, yeah.
Right.
I'm just kidding. I think I know what's good for me, or I think I know my limitations. I think many of you maybe listening have a greater capacity to just be bombarded with negative information over and over again. I slip through the cracks of emotional fortitude too quickly. So
yeah,
I find that I don't know. My wife's really good because again, she's a 2, which means she's a helper and she's very intuitive. She's in what's called the feeling triad. So like she walks into a room and she really does feel everybody's like weight before they've ever said anything. Like it's very crazy how she can be like,
yeah,
hey, something's going on with Jonnie or whatever. Like before I would ever like, who?
She's like, I noticed your weight.
Wow.
When I walked in, I felt it. I'd be like, okay, I'm working on it, but
geez,
thank you.
Bold. But she will like, for real, feel what's going on with people before, they're like, how did you even know that? And she'll go, hey, are you okay? What's going on? How did you even know something's wrong? Like, they've been trying to hide it. So, like, she gets on Facebook and really, like, catches up with people there by seeing what's happening in their life. And she and doesn't mean to, but she memorizes everything she sees then on social media of other people. So, like, and then starts connecting dots like a detective in her head. Her and Sadie both have this. It's like, hey, she'll be like, hey, you remember, name someone. I'm like, no. And she knows them as like the second cousin twice removed of someone on the volleyball team's dad who went to, like, she has all this, it's like if you had all the strings on one of those detective shows, she's just pulling it across this mental board. Right. And I'm just like, I don't.
And then she accuses that volleyball dad of murder. Just
that's the twist.
Not a great ending.
And then, and that's just the beginning of the show. And then we have some...
Right, you can't reveal, that can't be the real guy because it's too early in the show. It's like Law and Order, when they arrest a guy and it's like 5 minutes into the show, you're like, he's not the killer.
Yeah.
There's so much more time left.
Occasionally, I don't watch Law and Order, but occasionally I'll watch shows like that where they will arrest someone really early.
Yeah.
And then now they're playing off your bias of watching so many shows that you don't believe it can be that person.
Right.
And that person gets seemingly exonerated early in the show.
Yeah.
And then now at the end of the show, new evidence comes in. It's almost like...
it's a red herring of a red herring.
Right. Like The Usual Suspects.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you come to believe it's impossible.
Yeah. In
the end, he puts down his cane, walks straight, and walks away, and
T. Kaiser Soze ate us all.
Yeah. It was like, wow, he got you. If you haven't seen that movie, it's really on you at this point. It wasn't 35 years old or something.
Well, you don't watch it now because Kevin Spacey's been canceled or whatever, so you can't watch Kevin Spacey movies now without being like, oh, he was a creep this whole time.
Sometimes I go, it's a little bit how I feel about Tom Cruise. Like, I don't want to hang out with Tom Cruise.
Right.
But I can enjoy his acting.
I want to enjoy Mission Impossible.
Right. Well, I can say, here's the thing for me. Maybe this is biased towards the writers, but I'm like, hey, this dude played the part that someone wrote for him to play, and he played it well, but it's not like unless he wrote it too.
Yeah.
I want to go, hey, I can enjoy. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like going to your comedy shows. Like, I don't like hanging out with you in person, but I wrote all these jokes for you, and I enjoy hearing you tell them.
Right.
So, yeah.
I worked with Kevin Nealon last night at Zany's, and second time I've worked with him, he's so funny. He did this joke last night. He said, they say the most stressful job in the world is air traffic controller. And I guess that's true, but not if you don't take it seriously.
That's good.
That's so funny. I'm
a little starstruck when you say, because you told me yesterday you were performing with him. Like, that's a little 90s SNL kind of like, I kind of have a
He was on the show 10 years and has all these iconic scenes, and he was kind of one of those glue guys on SNL where he could be in anything and make it a little bit better. Like him and Phil Hartman and some of those guys were so funny.
He plays sort of the like I'm thinking about Happy Gilmore.
Right.
He can play a semi-normal person
right.
that's a little clueless really, really well.
Yeah.
Almost like an expert that's a little clueless in their expertise.
Yeah, he's got these little asides that he does in his stand-up that are unlike anybody else. He's so low-key, and he kind of draws you in, and he'll be like, I'm at the store the other day. He's starting a conversation with people who's just met in a room. A whole audience is looking at him, and they know him as Kevin Nealon. He's just like, I'm at the store the other day, and the cashier just starts doing this thing, and I get so angry. You know how I get. And he did it like 4 or 5 times, and it got a laugh every time. It's just so funny for like a celebrity to say, you know how I get.
Right.
It's just so disarming and like charming.
Yeah.
And that's his whole
charming.
It's just charming. But that's his whole act is based on that ethos that he builds.
Yeah.
And his jokes are really funny too, but he's just a funny guy.
I think there's something to be said for the fact that the audience knows you so well that you can play off of the familiarity in a, like some of my friends who know me really well, I don't have to make the same disclaimers to them that I do to strangers. You know? Like, who was I talking with that we were talking about that you get honest enough with people that, it's someone who's a 9, who's a person who's kind of sees all sides. Usually their voice kind of gets lost a little bit in the conversation. Sort of the hallmark of a 9 is their voice is not always heard. Or they feel like their voice is not heard. And they were talking like, hey, but in my marriage, we know each other so well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to sit back and worry about that. I could just blurt out loudly if I want.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be worried about whatever it is that I'm holding in other situations,
I think that's probably true in my marriage for sure. I mean, not that I think you told me that I'm a 6 or whatever, but like, or that you see me that way. But there's definitely that thing I think about a lot of times when I'll be having a conversation with Curry, and I'll be like, there was never any fear of like, what if she sees this side of me? Like, all the sides have long since been exposed, And so it's like there's a real rest that comes from that, and a peace that comes from that.
Yeah. When you can be yourself, usually I think that means you can show the insecurities or the negative parts. I had an experience, and you know about it, but I'm not going to be specific about it, but this week, and it caused me to have to really think through some recovery things in my life again.
Yeah.
Someone asked me yesterday, like, can you grow enough where your Enneagram type or those kinds of things, shift and change? I do believe love languages, if you remember that.
Yeah.
The 5 love languages, I think is a very revolutionary concept that really does work well. I've used it a lot in premarital counseling and in my own marriage early on, especially. But I think over the years, your languages can change because, like, I wasn't a quality time person per se, or certainly an acts of service person. I'm a very serve you kind of person, but I don't think of it as, oh, if I serve you, then you're going to think of that as love. But my wife is an acts of service person. And so early on, cleaning the house was not, if she cleans the house, I don't think, oh, wow, she just showed me how much she loved me. That didn't mean that to me. It does to her. And when I figured that out, like, oh, this is a way that she receives love, I became someone to clean the house a lot. But now, fast forward 22 years, I think I kind of interpret it as that now. When she does that, I receive the language as the way she speaks it. And then she also, I'm a words affirmation person, certainly. She was texting me today, just randomly in the middle for a very busy work day on a bunch of calls. Just beautiful words about how much she loves me and appreciates me and our best friend. And
she was like, "Oh, God, wrong text. Sorry, wrong person." My bad.
Yeah. But, so our languages shift. But I don't think your Enneagram shifts because I said, look, here's the deal. No matter how much work I do, I can still get spun out by the things that always spin me out. You never stop applying those tools to those places.
Right.
And for me,
the negatives kind of stay the same. Even if you can add positives, but your negative recipe or whatever is going to probably stay close to the same.
Exactly. Like you have issues that can be life controlling. The goal is that they're not.
Do you think you've become more of a quality time person because you have Sadie now? And like, if she gets into that teenager mode where she's like, you're not cool anymore, like, do you think you're going to be like the parents that try to trick their kids to coming home for Thanksgiving when she gets to be an adult child? Like, that's what happens to a lot of parents. Are like, they weren't necessarily quality time people, but then you get to that point where you're like, you're empty nesters, and then you're like, turns out we really need quality time, or we don't think our kids love us.
I think a lot of my lack of what I perceived as not being quality time was the pace of my young life and the achieve The desire to achieve, to stay in motion, which I still struggle
It's a waste
with.
of time to stop and have fun with this person.
Right.
Because I could be making things.
I could be accomplishing something.
Like, here we are wasting time at this dumb whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
hurt me deeply that you act that way.
I'm sure. Actually, I'm sure it probably did at times.
No, it
when
didn't
we were
hurt me, but I
young.
just think that I just didn't think of you as that kind of friend that would be like, let's go to the movies together.
No.
Let's
We
go.
did that young days.
Even when we go to lunch together, it's kind of like we're lunching, then we're going to podcast together, and it's part of your work day. Like we're building something.
Yeah. For me, a lot of
Let's
that.
talk about your issues, John.
Yeah, the podcast for me has been a great chance to hang out with my best friend.
No, and it's been great.
That's probably the reason it puts it on our calendar. Because that's not because it doesn't matter to me. It's that I know it's less. I still carry a pace or a deadline pace often, not as much this year in my writing. But between pastoring and writing, I still carry a pace that I want to put the things that matter to me on my calendar. Otherwise, I feel like they fall through the cracks, and I don't want you to be one of those. So, because you're important to me, Jonnie. You're very, very important to me. And, but no, I mean, yes, you are. But
I'm carrying a weight. I hope you can tell.
Oh yeah, I feel it. It's heavy. Please get this weight off of me.
Yeah, please. You're hurting me.
I can't. I had a thing this week where I had someone. It's part of my recipe as a great word. I sent a text that was very gentle, very whatever, and I kind of got blasted and then ghosted by someone I don't know that well.
The old ghost blast. It's the worst.
Oh my gosh. And not today, Saban.
Who are you going to call ghost blasters?
That's great. And
that is the worst though, when you get like a text back that's kind of like cryptically rude, and then you respond with like something, you didn't mean that, did you? And then they ghost you, and you're like, well, now I'll never get closure with this person. There's like a rift now.
Yeah. I read it to you. Again, I went to the few people. I read it to you, to my wife, and to Andrew.
Yeah.
So that lets you know what it did to me.
As soon as you read the first person's response to your text, I was like, there's no way John let this go. I knew that there would be another interchange where you go, hey man, just circling back. You didn't think that I meant X by that, did you? Because what I meant wasn't, it's 8 pages, and I'm like, now this person's exhausted, and they're like, blah, blah, blah. And then they came back with a little bit even ruder.
No.
Or they ghosted you from that?
No, so I sent a thing.
Yeah.
They sent back what appeared to be I had offended them. I respond, dude, I cited recovery and everything.
Oh, right. I remember
like,
this part.
The 12-step process for me is very much like when I think maybe I've offended. And I'd already apologized once the first time. Yeah. And I got it back no problem.
Oh,
no, you didn't offend me, nothing like that. I was like, ooh, that sounds like a problem.
Not good.
You said no problem, but that feels like a problem. And so then, because I do care about the guy, I'm not trying to.
Right.
So then, yes. And I debated it. I was like, okay. So this is, again, now bringing therapy, Enneagram, recovery, all of it. I'm like, okay. I try to ask this question. It took me a minute to get there, but I really try not to require of people what only God can give to me.
Okay.
Okay. That's a real big thing for me. And that's that's it's costing money on therapy to get to that place to go, what am I really wanting from this person?
Right.
Take it all the way through. Is it I'm wanting to be liked? Is it I'm wanting to be, so as a writer, this is the thing. Am I wanting to be close to somebody influential, helping with their story or whatever? Is it that, does that lead to security because it helps pay the bills? Does that lead to more opportunity? Usually for me, it's less about money, more about more opportunity to write. Mm-hmm. That whole book award world for me is less about, book awards are book awards, it's fine, but they're a chance to say, if this doesn't do well in the market, I'm still a good writer.
Yeah.
Like I have to come to that grips. Like I'm trying to prove something, and I think it's okay to some extent to go, hey, the sales are not really my business when I'm a collaborator. Like they're not.
Yeah.
Like sales are
same
sales.
burden.
Right. That's someone else. So can someone also just evaluate this writing and let me know? But for this, and that's what I told this guy, I was like, can you change your type or change who you are? I was like, no, I still got spun out by the same issue. I just had different tools to address it. And sometimes I still, again, go, and I did. I went down for a little bit, but I come to people. First thing I want to know is clarity. because I lack it. Like,
am I overreacting here or whatever?
Right.
Yeah.
Does this seem, first question, does it seem to you when you read this text that this guy may have been upset with me?
Text is tough too because it can come off very curt anyway.
Right. Some people just communicate that way in a text. They don't have, they're busy, they're whatever.
And your assumptions about a person, if you already have like a weird bias towards them and then they send you a text, you're reading it with this bias lens in there. Well, knowing this about this person, they mean this by this, and they might not have, but and
you don't know someone as well.
Yeah,
and that's part of the problem. And then, two, it always causes me to go, because to me, a mistake or an offense shuts down a relationship or an opportunity, a potential relationship. Mm-hmm. That and I don't mean just for something that I gain. I don't want to have enemies.
I don't want enemies either, or even weirdness. I think I was talking to a comedian friend about how like comedians get like judged for a living. Every 6 seconds we get a grade on stage for how we're doing. Yeah. And so it can build this mindset of like people pleasing is not even the word. It's off the charts, people pleasing. Yeah. And so if you're not careful, you can build a personality that's very people-pleasing, and then what that opens you up to is being easily manipulated, because if somebody's not pleased with you, they know that you'll do anything to please them.
Right.
And then when you do it to a hardline, you go, no, I can't do that. They go, well, I thought you were whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you can be like, no, I didn't mean to be that way. And you're just like chasing things.
And you got to ask yourself, what are you chasing?
Right.
You know what I like about when I know I have a friend like you, a real friend in this world, is that, again, the pretense is gone. If you're upset with me, you'll just call me and say, hey, bro, what the heck?
Right.
And I don't think if you got a friend you haven't had an argument with, you don't have a real friend, or you haven't had a disagreement.
Yeah.
But if you have the freedom, that always makes you feel good. Like, I like it when a friend has the freedom to feel like they can say that, because the idea is for both of us, I think, up to now, like, yeah, we're going to do whatever's necessary to make sure this works.
Yeah.
Like, this is valuable. If it goes through difficulty, we're going to try to fix that, And you've been very patient with me, because
John.
No, I think it's true.
John, it's fine.
You're like, yes, I have.
I mean, I really have, but
because I don't think I'm a very easy guy to always be friends with. I think that I'm an easy guy to be acquaintances with.
Yeah.
But like, if you really were depending on me, I feel like a lot of people in ministry depend on me, but friendship.
Let me just say, John picked me up from the airport yesterday.
Bro. And there's so many other things I could have been doing.
Yeah.
But I did. I was like, you know what? It really, that's the funny thing. I speak acts of service a little more than I did.
Yeah.
I go, this is a chance to show Jonnie that I care.
You're like, he's really going to owe me after this.
No, because you're always, although I think we've gotten old enough now we can forget about all the things you fix at the house or whatever.
No, it's fine. But I was going to Uber, and I was like, oh, but I've got all these bags, so I'll have to get the Uber, whatever.
It's expensive, Uber.
The Uber XL or whatever, because I had 2 huge bags of merch. And so I was like, John, can you get me? Curry was at work. And I was like, I was going to Uber. You go, don't Uber. Come on,
man. You were like, fine.
And so you saved the day, bro.
Hey, man.
Picking something up at the airport is a big thing.
Right now it is. The Nashville airport under construction.
And you just don't have, like, that's when you know who your real friend, like, I don't even think do people ask their friends to help them move anymore? Like, is that a big thing?
Listen, if you're one of my friends and you want me to help you move, God's honest truth, I will make a $200 donation towards a moving company.
I think it's about age, though, because we're at the age now where you're like, what good can I really do? I'm going to lift your dresser. I'm going to be in traction the rest of the day. You're going to pay me in
It's a good chance I'm going to break something.
You're going to pay me in beer and pizza. Like, just let me help you hire a mover.
Yeah. Because it makes your life better. The mover makes not just my life better.
Yeah.
But you can be less stressed too. It's a gift.
Well, it's like I've had friends who years ago when I was like starting doing comedy, they wanted me to come do jokes at their wedding because we were close and I was their college pastor. And I did it for a few people and I enjoyed doing it, but it was stressful. It's almost like singing at somebody's wedding. Like you can ruin their whole day.
I hate singing at a wedding.
So it's not like bombing at a bar somewhere. It's like I bombed on video for a video you're going to watch every year. Right. And that's the memory they have of your wedding. So it's a lot of pressure. And I think like the 3rd or 4th person in my life that asked me, hey, would you come do a toast or come do a thing? I go, listen, if you will just not make me do this, I love you so much. If you will not make me do this, I will give you the wedding gift. And I did. There was one, I gave 2 different couples $1,000.
Wow.
Just because they let me not do jokes at their wedding.
That's a good trade.
But the ones who I did it at, they're good memories, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
But it was also like, I'm running out of, like, we're going to mess this. Eventually, I'm going to get this wrong.
Like the other day, I asked you to come speak at the church.
Yes. And I said, I'll give you $1,000.
You didn't give me anything, is what I'm trying to say. Like, what I got to do to get on? See, only real friends get nothing.
Yeah.
Speaking of, by the way, I think here in front of millions of people, you know, and I know why, because I know you.
Oh, boy.
But the church staff really wants you because, you know, you go and speak at other churches.
Well, it's not that common that I do like a Sunday service, like maybe twice a year, 3 times a year.
You tell me all the time.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Sunday service. I'm doing a bit first, and then I'm making the turn and going into this, and then I'm going to talk about, share your message. And it's always so good. And we're the kind of place, you know.
But then I got to come back here if it goes bad. I got to come back and be here.
Yeah.
And just be like, whew, there comes that guy. As I walk in.
Well, I'm just saying as the teaching pastor and the guy who coordinates, you know.
You going to find a slot for me on the calendar?
Well, Johnny, if you let me know, because here's the thing.
Can I do Christmas Eve service?
We're already
Wouldn't it be funny if I just demand like Easter? I'll do it, but only if it's Easter.
Easter or nothing.
I've done Palm Sunday twice at churches, honestly. I think Palm Sunday is a church service that churches use sometimes to like, they know Easter's going to be a whatever, and they want to do one last big push. So it's like bring a friend Sunday.
Yeah.
So they'll bring me in to kind of be like.
When you're the teaching pastor and not the lead pastor, Palm Sunday is your Easter.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
you
always,
never get to do Easter.
That's always my big, like, this is when I bring it on Palm Sunday, bro. Like, the other weeks, I just kind of phone it in. With Palm Sunday.
Yeah. That's all right.
I really enjoy the Palm Sunday message, actually. It's so fascinating.
For me, the Super Bowl is our Super Bowl. It's the actual. Remember one time when I did it, when I used to do announcements and stuff at our church, I would do like upcoming sermon series. And I wrote a bunch. And I remember one was like David and Goliath, a real David and Goliath story. And I think I was the only one that thought it was funny.
Laughed.
I remember thinking like the crowd did not.
They didn't get it.
Because like it's such a cliche. So you know what a real David and Goliath story is. That David and Goliath. Those guys.
Right. Instead it's like Tom Brady versus, a real David and Goliath.
There was one about, there was one that I wrote, I can't remember, it was something about Zacchaeus and short men. It was about a whole thing. But somebody was talking about that, like, you're this guy in the Bible, you're this huge business leader, you follow Jesus, you give back 4 times the money you took from people as a tax collector, you have this huge testimony, and then the Bible refers to you time immemorial as a wee little man. Like, that's what you're known as forever. It's just like, the Bible's got some,
it's got some teeth to it.
Yeah, there's just a thing. Like, you're known for that,
Yeah.
You're the woman at the well. We don't even, look, that's who you are. You're the woman caught in adultery.
Yeah.
Like, these writers of the text were just like, that's who she is. Like,
or even church history, you're James the Lesser.
Oh, right. Bro. Yeah. Or a Simon the Zealot.
Yeah.
He got excited at one meeting.
But you know what, Johnny? He got excited at one meeting.
Have you tried this coffee? Okay, easy, buddy. Easy.
Hey, Luke, Simon the Zealot. I wonder if, like, when Luke is the scribe,
right?
Like, if someone's like feeding him, like, hey, let's call that guy the beloved. Call that guy the zealot. Yeah, that's such a funny idea right there. Yeah.
There's Tommy the mole over there. Well, he's give him a break.
And Judas doesn't
He's really self-conscious about it. No, he's the mole.
The mole. That's funny. And Judas doesn't get a title. Yeah. Except the son of perdition later. But, come on, it does.
He probably deserved that.
But they're taking that from the Old Testament. It's not like they made one up.
Yeah.
I wonder what our titles would be in New Testament theology.
Well, you'd be John the Lesser just because you're smaller than me. We're both Johns.
That's
it's like Big John and Little John.
Yeah. John and John the Lesser. I had a joke I wrote in that comedy class about that. Like, dude.
You wrote a Bible joke?
Well, it was like,
that's what people would expect of you. You're like, you take a comedy class, and then all your jokes are like, hey everybody, Bible jokes.
Transubstantiation. Am I right?
Anybody?
No, it's like I think it really matters what parents name their kids. You
Yeah.
know, like you got to think this through. Like, okay,
Right.
hey, Ivan the Great, that's awesome. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, sure, you know he was going to be awesome. You know, but like, dude, James the Lesser, he didn't have a chance. You know,
Yeah.
it was better than that. I have to
Ivan
go
the
look it up.
Terrible.
Yeah, Ivan the Terrible. I had another one, another name, and I can't recall what it was, but I don't know, Johnny.
There's
Johnny,
no way to know.
Here's the deal: I didn't really launch a comedy career. It wasn't for the purpose of launching a comedy
Do you
career.
think that the class helped you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it helped me
Because
understand.
I don't. Here's why.
I got 5 reasons. They're here on this pad. No, I kind of the whole reason is I was doing a conference that you had gotten for me,
Oh, that's right.
and they weren't bringing in a comedian that year. So they
Yeah.
asked me if I could punch up a little bit because
Oof.
they knew that I hung out with you, which means nothing. Like, it doesn't mean I'm funny at all. I just, again, just wrote for you. I mean,
Right.
gave you all the funny material, but I can't
Yes.
deliver it. Johnny,
You're
guys,
like my Cyrano.
so
I'm
I-
standing in the shrubs with a big nose, just being like, hearken, or whatever. Hear ye, is this thing, whatever. Good to be hither. There used to be a Zach Galifianakis character that he would do in clubs where he would be like,
good to be Heather.
and he would be an 18th century comedian. He would come out with a powdered wig and like a scroll of jokes. And he'd be like, good to be hither, good to be hither. And then he would hold the mic and he would go like, is this thing on? Then he would look at it and go, what is this thing?
Yeah, that was one of your favorite jokes of all
So
time.
great.
Yeah.
Good to be hither.
I think I was writing the Avid endorsement book too, and I wanted a little.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get in the headspace. And Johnny, I think that the awards speak for themselves.
On the award, it's engraved.
Right, it says it. Yeah. So, but no, I got to hang out. Rick Roberts is amazing, and I learned.
Oh, yeah, he's the best.
I like the science of things. Picking them apart a little bit.
Well, and every speaker can learn from like concepts of humor, just as far as setting your audience at ease, or like learning how to know when they're leaning in, and picking up on those context clues instead of just being like plowing ahead with your message and not ever like the audience's response is it's a conversation.
Yeah.
So even though you're giving a monologue and sometimes in a sermon, that's why a lot of those old sermons like almost annoy me because it's like they're using old tricks when they go, turn to your neighbor and say blah, blah, blah. Well, that's a trick to get groupthink going and get your audience engaged.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm just saying, instead of having interesting content, you just stop every 5 minutes and say, repeat after me, and get them to.
Some of that's educational.
Yeah.
It's just to keep people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's science to it for sure.
I used to tell like teachers, young teachers and stuff like, you got it with kids, you got to do a commercial.
Yeah.
They're used to television. They're going to have a commercial every 7 or 8 minutes in a show. You got to do a commercial, which just means you shift something
And
away.
it's even shifted further now because
Yeah.
what's it, YouTube videos, it's every 2 minutes or
Right.
something. So we're looking for a.
Yep. I don't do that. See, and I think
We don't do the crazy turn to your neighbor stuff though here.
No,
When
we-
did
we
we
do-
stop
we
that?
do
Did we ever
agree.
do it here?
I would have people repeat stuff.
Yeah.
But
But
I
that
would-
was your youth sermon. You'd be
Yeah.
like, say jalapeno or whatever.
Right. Right. Say a thing and have them,
And then make a sound.
jalapeno, hot, hot, hot. There was a guy.
Right.
who did
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
Jalapeno, hot.
And, and again, for kids, it just is like, oh, I'm back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's it
Keeps
really
them from. Well, now you're just fighting their phones.
Dude, I told someone the other day, like, I remember that the first time we just graduated our huge class from 7th grade through 12th. And a couple years later, I remember and people had phones, but like texting wasn't even a huge thing yet.
I thought you mean like in their home. Like phones had been invented. There was a phone.
Some of them went to the post office, to the telegraph. And I remember like the first time the kids were staring at their phones instead of listening.
Yeah.
And it was very jarring, like, and I didn't have a huge room of people that I had trained for 6 years. Because we kind of did we by that point, if you're blessed to have that kind of momentum, which I don't think it's necessarily leadership skills that get you there. I just think sometimes all people show up at the right time. But if you're blessed to have that, you can really lean into positive peer pressure. Like in our youth group, at one point, it would be the uncool thing to not listen and pay attention.
Right. What are you doing here if you're not going to pay attention?
Right. It'd be the uncool thing to make fun of our special needs kids.
Yeah.
Like we had a special needs small group, and we would let usually one of them sing.
Yeah.
And you'd have 120 kids stand up, and a kid up there who is singing a Barney song.
Yeah.
And they'd sing along and clap for him.
Right.
And you could tell the new kids would come in who are the first timers that night, And if they were at school, this is a straight up make fun.
Right.
Straight up laugh and giggle. And they're looking around going, what planet? And that was just a testament to our kids and our leaders.
Your culture.
They're like, we're going to honor this kid. This is not a moment to make fun. Not that the kids don't have that kind of stuff in them. It's just, you'd be made fun of for making fun of. Like, that's the thing we don't do. But when it shifted, now you're a different group, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I could build that again with a phone culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to get people, how are you going to say, hey, without just being that youth group that does, and some do, and there's a time and place, like everyone stick your phones in this basket, but that's also, then you're getting a little, for me, you're getting a little punitive, a little.
You'd be a TikTok pastor, a YouTube pastor. Hey guys, before we get started, before you open your apps, smash that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell.
Hey guys, we're about to go live right now. You know who else went live? Anyway, yeah. And you know what, listener? Even though this isn't live, we hope that you smash that subscribe button.
We do. We hope you leave a review because that helps the almighty algorithm help other people find us.
Jonnie calls it that. I just want you to know, I don't worship it like he does. I worship God. And Jonnie, I have a book for you about demolishing your idols. And I didn't, yeah.
I appreciate that.
Hey, and speaking of books, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
There's one in my background.
Oh, I'm looking. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that just released this week called Born for Rescue by Pat Bradley. And I got to write on this
How can they get that book, John?
They can go to Amazon and get it.
Oh, well, everybody's got that.
Born for Rescue, Pat Bradley. Guys, I'm not kidding. And I've been, 2 books have released this last month that have been amazing. One was More Than Your Number by Beth and Jeff McCord. If you're like an Enneagram doubter, skeptic, it's a great book for you. Or if you're more like an Enneagram enthusiast, you kind of like know your type, maybe your wings, but you're wondering what's next. And you hear us kind of reference even on here some like IFS or some other type of therapies. This is a great way. That's a great book. So More Than Your Number, you can go check out morethanyournumberbook.com. I think, don't quote me on that. Just go to Amazon.
Just go to Amazon.
And this one, man, Pat Bradley, I will say this, it's telling stories. And his organization is called Crisis Aid. They're the first on the ground, like for the tsunami in Asia, like the unbelievable stories of both pain and redemption. But I'm telling you, some of the craziest stuff I've ever written. And you go, there's no way this is true. And then he shows you a picture. Yeah. Like where he's sitting with the Taliban, having a dinner with the Taliban. Wow. Like that's in there, and the pictures and just crazy stuff. So check out more, go check out that book as well. Born for Rescue, Pat Bradley. Amazing organization to support. I support them. Amazing guy. It's called Crisis Aid. So you can also check out Jonnie's comedy, man.
Do that. Go to johnnyw.com or go to our link trees. They're linked in the show notes and everything too, usually.
Link trees in our show notes. That's all of our stuff. Websites.
Yeah, some cool things coming for the show. So make sure you share these episodes and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it really does.
Talkaboutthatpodcast.com has all of our archived episodes as well.
And that's also our link trees. You can find it there.
Link trees and Patreon and all the guys. We know all this stuff.
It's so much. But it's good, though. It's multiple places.
It is. It's good. You got to be able to find things you like.
Yeah. Send us things you'd like to hear us talk about. You can email me at john@johndriver.com, or you can email Jonnie if you want to talk to him, johnny@johnnyw.com.
That's right.
We have the same model, the same template of our email addresses. Mm-hmm. Coincidence?
We're not hiding out. We're out there for people to find us.
It still feels pretentious every time I say john@johndriver.com. It's very like...
When I check into a hotel and they ask for my email, they look at me like, well, who are you that you have a domain?
Right, I'm like, john@johndriver.com, #JohnDriver.
/ huge celebrity. Beautiful.
Guys, you are huge celebrities to us, and that's why we look forward to doing this again next week with you on
Talk About That.